Now what a nice thing to wake up to in the morning. Get up early in the morning, go out and check out the previous day's work. Wow, that's ready for the pinstripe. Some final sanding. Last coat of clear, among other things. Wow, that's nice. Another thing, we have the frame that we're going to finish up on the picture Karen made for Glenn's house. The wheels. So what I try to do early in the morning is set up a work day. Oh man, these are going to be nice. They are ready. Now the next thing is, I got to look at the weather, of course. Rain is supposed to come in this afternoon. Not raining now. So guess what? Fish are hungry. I guess we're ready to go prepare up a day's work. Well, Karen's frame, boy, it dried up nice. Nice gloss on there. It's ready to present to Glenn the next time we see him. I'm sure he'll treasure it. And apart, we get the little cardinal on there. And that's what it looks like at the front door of Glenn's house when it's snowing. It's taken from a picture. Now this is our 600 sandpaper that comes from Portugal. It's the name, I never could remember the name of this. Rhino wet. Why can't they name it Portuguese wet or something so I could remember it? Anyway, a piece of 600 sandpaper. Now, this, to be honest, this is a step a lot of people leave out, and I don't know why. It's going to add a few hours to the job, but we're going to be putting that pinstripe in there. But before I put the pinstripe in, I'd like to scuff the whole part. And I'm looking for any little dust that's gotten in the paint, any little flaws. Sometimes there's little runs, you never know what there is, but I know we're going to have, I hope, this final coat of clear, and because it's not raining today, I'm kind of excited, may even get it done today. I want to airbrush on this stripe. The stripe will be blue, that matches the stripe on the rest of the bodywork. And I'm just excited about seeing how this is going to work out. I'm sure it's going to be beautiful when it's done. But the 600 sandpaper will just scuff this up enough. I should get a nice bond, a nice tape edge, and it's especially important right up here because when we mount the tires, I'm going to try to do it without tools, but sometimes those tires just, and the Pirellis are the worst. They are really terrible. So what I want to do, I want to scuff that whole thing up, look for any little problems, and then do any touch-ups we need to, and then get that backmasking on that stripe that Glenn wants. Now, assuming that you've done a really good job of detail sanding this out, there's always going to be a couple little spots, one right there, that you want to touch up, where you start to go through, or there's a high or a low spot you want to cover. I thought we had a couple more, but I got to kind of remember where they are. Nope, there's one. At this point, it's just a question of being really, really fussy about. There was one on this side too, but now what we'll do, we'll put this one aside to dry so that our tape isn't prone to picking anything up. When this one is dry, while it's drying, I'll be working on that at the other wheel. Now the idea here is going to be use up some of our older tape. I never use old tape when I'm going to do this kind of work because ultimately you're sorry you do. So what happened, this old tape just loses its stickiness and it bleeds around the edge and whatever. Now I want to have one piece of tape that's just going to set. All this is a set tape. It's just going to set my next piece of tape in line. So I'm kind of, this is kind of a freehand thing here. Let's see if I'm any good at it. I tried doing this on the wheel balancer, not as good as doing it by hand. All this tape is going to do is just set my edge. And the good thing about this is if you practice, by the time you're done with the job, you're as good as Chip Foose is. Well, maybe not quite as good, but anyway, when it's wrong, you just pull it up and you can see right away if it's wrong. Now, what I want to try to do is, and it's a beautiful color blue with a lot of metallic in it, this stripe, and what we've done, it's in keeping with the real Kawasaki's of the day. We're going to try to emulate that if we can. And it'll be a real good match for the, well, let's see. We'll believe it when we see it. Now, believe it or not, every time I do this, what happens is by the second wheel, I kind of get a little rhythm going, but you never do know that for sure. Okay, now all that piece of tape is on there for is to set where this next piece of tape is going to go. Well, it's just there to set it. Now, this is actually, and we can get a little look at what the stripe's going to look like in blue. It's going to be a little bit darker blue, as you can see on that, and it's, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do 1/4 inch, because what's going to happen, it's going to get way up in here, and it's just going to be very, very difficult to get that back masked off. However, this is going to be nice. I think this is going to be nice, just in the fact that we'll get the next piece of, now we can put real tape on. I call it real tape, this nice fresh tape around here, and then replace this tape with fresh tape, and then we'll pull out the middle tape. Now, one of the things I could have done, I could have, of course, started with good tape. And the reason I used up the old tape is I didn't know if I was going to want to move that in, move it out. I didn't want to waste this blue tape because we have a limited amount of this nice fresh tape. I think we're down to the last roll, in fact. I don't want to run out of tape on this job, but now I'll replace this masking tape, which is old, with the new blue. Get the third stripe on there, and I can pull out the middle one, and I'll be ready to backmask it. Now it's just a question of pulling out the middle tape, making sure we've got it reasonably nice and even, and then backmasking it. Again, the trick to this whole thing is to use this fresh tape for the final, where it's going to place an edge. Now I want to show you something never to do. Glenn picked up this tape in Harbor Freight. He bought some, of course, with the right intention that we're going to work on stuff. Now look at what happened. This is what happens when you buy cheap tape. You go to unroll it and watch what happens. And it happens every time. It'll make you crazy. So my suggestion is I'm going to have to replace this tape for sure. Now, Glenn bought 3 rolls of this stuff. 1 roll actually is okay. And what I tried to do, it seemed to make it a little bit better. I just heated it with a heat gun. Now the heat gun releases some of the stickiness, but it's still, when it comes to masking tape, I think you just got to bite the bullet and buy good stuff. That's probably one of the lessons we're going to learn. This is Harbor Freight tape, not working as well as it should. And we'll try to use it up though, of course. And this is what it looks like when you buy it from Harbor Freight. Caution, this may be cheap crap. This is not that good. Oh boy. Anyway, we got 1 roll out, 1 roll that looks okay, 1 roll that no way it's going to wind up in the garbage. I just want to make a comment about tape. Again, this is proven to be Harbor Freight tape, not really as good as we expect. Even though some of it does peel off, some doesn't. This is the best I've found for doing this kind of striping, and I always keep it in the pack right to the last minute. And you can see we're down to the last roll here. So this is the tape of choice. And then the old tape used to make, get the tape set in place and whatever. And the back masking job. Now we're going to airbrush that stripe in. Obviously I got to do the other side, and then we'll be ready for a little adventure with the airbrush. Now, because we're using an airbrush, we can do this on the edge of the shop here. It minimizes the overspray, it minimizes pretty much everything. And this will be an exact match to the striping on the bike. Let's see, I think that's going to be good. And it makes almost no mess in the shop. That's the other thing. If we weren't dealing with our grandson, we could actually do that down where we do the sanding. And that's really going to be a perfect match. The striping, the color, and the little logo on the seat. A lot of little details. And while that's drying, of course, we'll lay out the back wheel, get that one painted. Then while this one, the stripe is drying, we can get the clear on that one. So we can, if the weather holds up, we can bounce back and forth and get an awful lot done today. As I look at this, this is really going to be nice. This is what makes it worthwhile. When you get to this point, you can start to see some real results. All of the labor, all of the buffing, all the time, all the energy, and we're actually coming down a home stretch now. Now it's always a good idea to warm the tape up just a little bit before you pull it off, just to get the nicest edge possible. Even a little bit of this. This is a good little tip. If you just happen to get a little bit of overspray from an airbrush, take a Q-tip and some, well, Sikkens M600 or this prep ball, and where that little overspray is, we got a couple little spots here we need to touch up the overspray on. This takes it right off. And of course, the quicker you do it, the better. If you let it sit overnight, it might not be as good. And you can see the little bit of overspray comes right off. Well, it's that magic time. It hasn't rained yet. Now that I've said that. If it were sunny out, you'd see that this blue stripe is really metallic. Now the other thing, before we go to put tires on, this paint really needs to dry a few days. I wish it were sunny, that would help. In this damp, cold weather, I don't know if it's maybe take an extra couple of days. But the paint when it's new is always very soft. They're going to be a nice set of wheels when they're done. Well, all I can say, Glenn, is I think that's one really. Every time I look at these, this is just a shape that grows on you. When the disc brake is on there and everything, I think it's really going to look nice. And keep in mind, there's no sun out here today, so what you're seeing is really good, a good reflection of what the quality is.
Going to be a nice set of wheels.
Now, it's always to your advantage to have some heat. And if you hold the hairdryer right in front of the tape, you'll see that the tape just comes up just that much easier with that much risk of a problem. Now, of all the things that on both wheels here, I got one little touch-up. I gotta look for these touch-ups. Because I know Glenn, but he's one fussy customer, boy. So we got one little thing here we gotta touch up. Let me get this. And the nice part about this material is you can just just put the clear right on top of it 5 minutes later. There it is right here. And sometime the tape will just, because we're doing this in a quick pace, it'll pull up just a little bit. And if there were any overspray on here, a little Q-tip will take it right off. Well, that pretty much finishes up our shop day today. The stripes are on. I'm sure Glenn is going to love these wheels. Now the only issue left is we're going to have to obviously if the paint is only a couple of days old, we're going to have to be really, really careful about mounting the tires. In the past, some tires mount up without tools, no damage to the wheels at all. Yeah, you obviously can't use spoons or tire machines or anything. And we've been lucky, but to be honest, the Pirelli tires, the Sport Demons he has, of all the tires I've ever mounted, those are the most difficult ones to do. So we're going to really be challenged a couple of days from now when we're ready to do this. So all I can say is, hey, you'll see it on Windy Videos, and thanks for watching.